Hello everyone, welcome to MEFA tutorial again this week. I want to thank you for liking our video tutorials. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for sharing with people who are in need of this tutorial video. I also want to thank you for subscribing to our YouTube channel. Today we are talking about camera moves. And I am going to talk about two camera moves that almost look very similar. I want to talk about the difference between two camera moves that always look very similar. Two camera moves that always look very similar. These camera moves are called tracking and hacking. Tracking and hacking. I'm talking about the difference between tracking and hacking. First, before I talk about the difference between tracking and hacking, let me first of all explain what camera moves is. I'm still going to share with you the list of several camera moves that we have in existence in another video tutorials. But today, let me first of all explain what a camera move is. Camera moves are movements that you can do with your camera. They are movements that you can do with your camera. You understand that these days, when you want to make your movie cinematic, you need to do a lot of moves with your camera. When your camera is static, your picture can be boring. So you can do a lot of moves with your camera, and some of the moves that you can do with your camera is what is referred to as camera moves. I'll be giving you the list of several camera moves in another video tutorials coming soon to you. Today, let's explain the difference between tracking and hacking. Tracking and hacking. Now, first, what is tracking? The two of these movements are actually done on a particular regulated camera mount. This regulated camera mount looks so much like a track, like a railway track. But let me use this to explain it. I will use crabbing to explain this tracking and hacking for you to understand. Now, you know when you are doing tracking, you have to do it on the rail. And when you are doing hacking also, you have to do it on a rail. But I will use my hand to do the experiment of what I'm talking about. When you talk about tracking, tracking is a movement of camera like this. That's tracking. It's a movement of camera from maybe left to right without changing the panning or the tilting of the camera. It is a linear movement of the camera on a static is a linear movement of the camera. Linear movement of the camera on a particular camera mount, which is called track. So, and it is not very possible for you to use a track without a particular dolly or a particular tire that the camera can move on. It's a linear movement. Tracking is a linear movement of a camera. Linear movement of camera on the same parallel line. Linear movement of a camera on the same parallel line. Linear movement of a camera on the same parallel line. You know, obviously your camera is on a camera mount called track. But hacking is a curve movement of the camera on a curved camera mount. It's a curved movement of the camera on a curved camera mount. But what is the difference? What is the difference between this tracking and hacking? When you are tracking, what happens to tracking when you are tracking is that you are moving from point A to point B, changing your background, your subject, and your foreground, if all these three elements are in your frame. Now, when you are tracking, you are changing all the elements that is in your frame in the movement of that tracking. Now, let's say you want to track with me. You will track from my right to my left. Take, for example, like this. This is what happens when you are tracking. You will lose the subject and the background as you are tracking. So the tracking will make you lose both the subject and the background and the foreground while you are moving. That is what is called tracking. But when you are hacking, Hacking maintains a constant subject, but changes your background and your foreground. Hacking is a movement that maintains your subject, but change your foreground and your background. So when you want to hack, this is what hacking. If what is right in front of me is the subject, which is the camera, my hacking will maintain seeing the camera even though the camera is moving. My hacking will maintain seeing the subject even though my camera is moving on a pivot. Hacking is a camera movement on a C shape, but tracking is a camera movement on a linear shape. And when you are tracking, you are losing every element that appears in your frame to reveal another one. You are losing every element that appears in your frame from point A to reveal another one at point B. That is what is called tracking. But when you are hacking, you are maintaining your constant subject, but losing your background and your foreground. So anytime you are working with your camera and you want to hack or you want to track, so this is the difference between hacking and tracking. Hacking will maintain your subject, but losing your background and your foreground. While tracking will lose all elements at point A of your movement to reveal other elements at point B of your movement. I hope you understand this. Thank you for watching MEFA tutorial this week. God bless you.